We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi concludes his two-nation tour, arrives in New Delhi. PM turns the visit an opportunity to take time-tested friendship to next level. US President Joe Biden continues to face fresh doubts over his re-election chances. Nancy Pelosi, George Clooney and two Senate Democrats join the ever-stretching list asking Biden to withdraw. Ukraine conflict continues to dominate NATO summit. Nations issue joint declaration in Washington outlining commitment to military alliance and long-term support for Ukraine. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to host his counterparts for BIMSTEC Foreign Ministers retreat in New Delhi. Opportunity to discuss avenues to broaden and deepen cooperation in various sectors. And in Euro 2024, English team's dream run continues. Substitute Ollie Watkins, late winner, downs Dutch in semis to set up final clash against Spain. Fans head to Berlin for the grand finale on Sunday. Well, on to the details now. After concluding his visit to Russia and Austria, India's Prime Minister arrives in New Delhi. In Vienna, Prime Minister interacted with members of the Indian community. In his speech, Prime Minister highlighted India's growth story. Prime Minister said that India is the world's fifth largest economy now. During his visit to Austria, Prime Minister also held talks with Austria's Chancellor Karl Nehammer. Prime Minister also met President Alexander Van der Bellen. While in Russia, Prime Minister attended 22nd Annual Summit in Moscow. President Vladimir Putin conferred Russia's highest national award, the Order of St. Andrew the Apostle, on Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his contribution to fostering India-Russia ties. And the Indian diaspora in Austria were just besides themselves after witnessing history being made with the visit of an Indian PM to Austria after 41 years. Those who attended the community event addressed by PM Modi wished that such high-level visits between the two nations shall be more frequent. This would lead to rapid progress via stronger bilateral ties by mutually solving global issues.
It's been a great occasion and a very great day for all Indians in Austria who have been here. Absolutely, absolutely, tremendously happy to be here and be a part of this occasion today. We do hope that the bilateral relations do improve and are great with time, and the economic situation for both the countries will improve with these ties.
Whatever Modi ji speaks about is a brand in itself, and it's a moment of pride, immense pride, that he came to Austria. People always used to confuse Austria with Australia. We've been living here since 9 years, and we have to always explain that Austria is not equal to Australia. I hope that with Modi ji being here, it is a strong message, and everybody, including all the Indians, would now know that what is Austria, what is it famous for, what is the culture, and the people who have made a living out of here.
It really signifies our culture and our people here, and it really represents how, especially for young people, they can move to Austria. And I think there was also a policy regarding startups. So I really think that for Indian community especially, it will encourage the young people to establish themselves in Austria and in India, and it would really represent us as a culture, as a community.
And Prime Minister coming here was going to definitely bring a lot of opportunities for us as youngsters, and definitely I think the cooperation between both the countries is going to be booming in the near future for all of us together.
And moving on, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will host his counterparts from BIMSTEC countries for the second Foreign Ministers' retreat in New Delhi on 11th and 12th of July. Discussions will be held to broaden and deepen cooperation across various sectors, including in the fields of security, connectivity, trade and investment, and people-to-people contacts in the Bay of Bengal region. The first edition of the BIMSTEC Foreign Ministers' Retreat was held at Bangkok in Thailand on 17th of July 2023. BIMSTEC has 7 members: India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar and Thailand. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs of Sri Lanka and Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Thailand arrived in New Delhi for the retreat on Thursday morning, while Bhutan's Foreign Minister D.N. Dhangyal and Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Myanmar U Than Sui arrived in New Delhi on Wednesday. And for more, we have Amrit Pal joining us on phone line. Well, Amrit, India's commitment to BIMSTEC is evident through its efforts to connect South Asia and Southeast Asia. The impending foreign ministers meeting also marks the start of a broader effort to promote regional cooperation. What all is lined up today?
That's right, Repakshi, that this effort of India to play a pivotal role in the region. And therefore, we see this retreat, the foreign ministers' retreat being held, where extensive discussions over 2 days will be held in various sectors, including in the sector how to deepen cooperation in security, connectivity, trade, and investment, people-to-people contact. Look at how both the key linkages, the waterway linkages, and the road linkages can be improved, because this region, if you collectively look at it, these 7 countries, about 22% of the global population resides there. There is a considerable GDP, about $45 trillion collective GDP. So, if the region, there are other regional organizations like ASEAN, etc., but BIMSTEC has a greater role to play in terms of improving the lot of the people of this region and securing free and fair trade lines that pass through the Bay of Bengal and the wider Indo-Pacific.
All right. Also, Amrit, a significant development for BIMSTEC this year is the implementation of the BIMSTEC Charter. What can you tell us about that?
When the summit happened in Colombo in a virtual format, though, it was agreed upon this, and this idea was has been on the books for a long time. So now, once there is a certain formality attached to it, and there is a framework that these countries can look towards establishing a rule-based order, and also a more institutionalized framework of cooperation amongst these countries, both at bilateral levels between the countries and multilaterally as a grouping.
All right, Amrit, thank you so much for that update from there. An Indian Navy's frontline frigate INS Tabar departed from Casablanca port in Morocco on Wednesday after concluding its 3-day visit. India and Morocco share warm bilateral relations that span diverse fields, including regular interactions between the two navies. The visit by INS Tabar further aims to strengthen these bonds and also explore newer avenues of bolstering the relationship between the two navies. During the stay at the port, the ship's crew undertook a number of professional interactions with the Royal Moroccan Navy. And in Jammu and Kashmir, search operation is underway with heightened measures in twin forest areas of Dodo and Kathua on Thursday. Officials in Doda said that police and army personnel are combing the Ghari Bhagwaha forest area to hunt down 2 terrorists who are believed to have suffered injuries in the Tuesday encounter. According to officials, the terrorists are yet to be traced. Well, India's Supreme Court will resume hearing on Thursday of alleged irregularities in NEET undergraduate 2024 and the demand for retest. Whereas the centre on Wednesday filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court denying any mass malpractice in the NEET UG exam. The centre, citing the data analytics done by the Indian Institute of Technology Madras, said there was neither any indication of mass malpractice nor a localised set of candidates being benefited, leading to abnormal scores. The government further said that the counselling will be conducted in 4 rounds starting from the 3rd week of July. And some weather updates now. The Indian Meteorological Department has issued a warning for heavy to very heavy rainfall in isolated areas across various districts in the Gujarat region. Additionally, the Met forecast light to moderate rainfall at isolated locations along with thunderstorms and lightning in Uttarakhand, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Sub-Himalayan West Bengal, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and Meghalaya. Mumbai and several regions across Maharashtra experienced heavy rainfall from the past few days. The IMD has predicted heavy rain in isolated areas of Mumbai until 12th of July. And the flood situation in Assam has shown significant improvement as population affected comes down to 14.3 lakh. 5 persons lost their life on Wednesday, taking the death toll up to 84 this year. Brahmaputra in some major areas and 3 other rivers, Bharidaning, Disang, Kushiara are flowing above danger mark. More than 2,500 villages under 86 revenue circles in 27 districts are reeling under the deluge. Dhubri district alone has 2.3 lakh affected people, highest amongst all other districts. More than 45,000 inmates are taking shelter in 365 relief camps across the state. Lakhs of animals affected due to the flood. Some of the major affected districts are Kachar, Barpeta, Darang, Golaghat and South Shalmara. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Lower House or Lok Sabha Speaker of the Indian Parliament, Om Birla, will be leading an Indian parliamentary delegation to the 2-day 10th BRICS Parliamentary Forum meeting, which begins in Russia on Thursday. The forum is being held with the theme of Role of Parliaments in Strengthening Multilateralism for Just Global Development and Security. The Speaker is also scheduled to hold bilateral meetings with Parliament speakers of other countries at the sidelines of the event. The second edition of the Meghalaya Pineapple Festival kicked off at Delhi Hut, New Delhi on July 10th, running until 14th of July. The event highlights the state's renowned Q pineapples and agricultural heritage. Organized by the Meghalaya government, the festival features farmers and entrepreneurs showcasing various pineapple varieties alongside artisanal products and authentic Meghalayan cuisine. Evening performances by local musicians add a cultural dimension to the event. Meghalaya's pineapple industry recently achieved a significant milestone, exporting 3.5 million tons to the Middle East in June. The state's pineapples are noted for their low pesticide and heavy metal residue, as well as their superior sweetness with a BRICS value of 6 to 18. The prime accused in the Mumbai hit-and-run, Mihir Shah, son of the Shiv Sena politician, was sent to police custody till 16th of July by Sewri Court in Mumbai on Wednesday. The official said over 14 persons, including the accused's mother, sister and friends, have been questioned in the case. The police are likely to visit the incident site and recreate the entire scene. And still to come on DD India News Hour. We'll show you a stunning encounter in the Atlantic Ocean where a rower got up close with the large border whales. Medical impasse continues in South Korea. And rainbow continues as streets flooded due to monsoon thunderstorms in eastern Mexico.
India keeps getting hotter and hotter, people will be looking for innovations to help combat the impacts of climate change and to cut the emissions that are causing it.
Zero tillage wheat, it builds soil carbon. It removes carbon dioxide from the air and builds soil carbon. It's like planting a tree underground.
What's happening here is preservation through conversion and transformation. I think you can see that very well here. You can take good experiences from it, and those are transferable.
Perovskite over silicon as material is the ease of processing. Silicon is something that is relatively energy intensive to fabricate, but this is something that can be done at close to room temperatures.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and moving on, India and Thailand share age-old social and cultural relations. But besides that, there are a lot of interesting similarities in the cuisines that Thai and Indian food share. Indian food has also been gaining popularity in Thailand, and Indian chefs are keen to open restaurants there. DD India spoke to Michelin star chef Garima Arora on the shared taste buds between India and Thailand. Take a look.
DD India is in Bangkok, and we are joined in by Michelin star chef Garima Arora, who is of Indian origin, and obviously we are here at her restaurant in Bangkok. And thank you so much, chef, for joining us on this broadcast. First of all, it's very interesting to see an Indian restaurant in Bangkok, and very importantly, how do you see the relationship of Thai and Indian cuisine that you're bringing in here?
I think Bangkok is a very interesting backdrop to explore Indian food. I didn't know this myself till I moved here 8 years ago. Not just the food, to be honest, Indian culture, Indian mythology, our gods are the same. The language is very similar as well. And when I moved here and I started thinking about doing a restaurant, I started finding the same ingredients, I started finding the similar flavors, and we use the same spices in India and Thailand, right? But in India, we always use it dry, whereas it's always fresh in Thai cuisine. But I have to say, Thai people are very adventurous, and they love trying new things. So we try to do things which are beyond the known Indian food that you get in most restaurants.
And so are more Indian chefs here, doing experiments here in Southeast Asia, specifically when we're talking about Thailand here?
Yeah, Thailand makes it it's easy to do business here. That's one thing. That's why you see a lot of restaurants opening up, a lot of Indian chefs moving to Thailand. Definitely there is a connection between the two countries in terms of flavors, in terms of food, in terms of culture. And then it's also easy to do business here. So it makes sense for chefs to move and kind of want to explore Thailand as a backdrop to open restaurants.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Garmaji, for talking to us. So here we were talking a little bit on the connection between Thai cuisine and Indian cuisine, and obviously more chefs experimenting in Thailand and opening up Indian restaurants here in Bangkok. With camera person AK, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from Bangkok.
And moving on to other stories now, two opposing factions of Bolivia's ruling party mass clashed with violence on Wednesday. The fight took place due to the internal divisions between supporters of incumbent Bolivian President Luis Arce and former President Evo Morales as they seek to lead the race in the 2025 elections. The confronting sides clashed in La Paz when representatives of political parties, including Evo Morales and social organizations, were called to set the basis of the process leading to the upcoming presidential election. Tensions have been building in Bolivia ahead of general elections in 2025, with Morales planning to run against a former ally Arce, creating a major rift in the ruling Socialist Party and wider political uncertainty. And South Korea's government abandoned its plan to suspend the licenses of striking junior doctors as part of its efforts to convince them to return to work and resolve the country's months-long medical impasse. It wasn't immediately known whether thousands of striking doctors would return to their hospitals after the announcement. The striking doctors suffered a major legal setback after a Seoul court in May ruled in support of the government's plan. The Supreme Court upheld that ruling in June. And tensions in Korean Peninsula are inviting new ideas from both the sides. After trash balloons, loudspeakers, here comes Star Wars laser weapons. South Korea will deploy laser weapons to shoot down North Korean drones this year, becoming the world's first country to deploy and operate such weapons in the military. And South Korea has called its laser program the Star Wars Project. The drone zapping laser weapons the South Korean military has developed are effective and cheap, but quiet and invisible. Those weapons can be game changer in the future battlefield. And Rwandan President Paul Kagame is expected to cruise to a fourth term in office in an election on Monday against two opposition candidates who were cleared to run against him but have only modest expectations. Kagame helped lead the rebel movement that ended the 1994 genocide in Rwanda and has served as president since 2000. He's facing only two rivals because 6 other potential candidates were not cleared to run by the state-run Electoral Commission. An American actor, Alec Baldwin, was accused by a New Mexico prosecutor on Wednesday of breaking cardinal rules for handling guns in the 2021 killing of Rust cinematographer Helena Hutchins. While defending Baldwin, his lawyer said Baldwin was failed by the movie's set safety experts who already have been convicted in the case. The 66-year-old Baldwin, on trial in Hollywood's first on-set shooting fatality in 3 decades, took notes at the defense table and listened calmly in his involuntary manslaughter trial. The prosecution is largely unprecedented in U.S. history, holding an actor criminally responsible for a gun death during filming. And monsoon thunderstorms on Tuesday triggered a torrent of flooding in the streets of Veracruz in eastern Mexico. The flooded streets of Veracruz became makeshift playgrounds for residents who plunged into the flood waters on Tuesday. People were seen diving into flooded streets as homes and cars were submerged in water. According to local reports, heavy rains from an intertropical wave hit the coastal region hard on Tuesday, quickly flooding the streets of Veracruz. The officials said more than 70 mm of water fell into hours during the atypical and unexpected rainfall. Well, the Chileans suffered with the low temperatures due to a polar wave in the South American nation on Wednesday. Chilean homeless individuals and people working outdoors in Santiago were the most affected by the weather. They gathered around a bonfire, drinking coffee to combat the chill. Some slept on the streets wrapped in blankets. Chile's government said that it would bolster a program aimed at protecting people living on the streets during this hazardous season. As per the Chile's Meteorological Service, the country is undergoing a cold wave with the lowest recorded temperature in Santiago over the past few days. Meanwhile, the polar wave frosted the sand on a beach in central Chile. The Chilean Meteorological Service issued frost and wind warnings as the cold snap is hitting different regions across the country. Local media reported temperatures of minus 6.4 degrees Celsius in Mole. And the first 2 astronauts to fly Boeing Starliner capsule said that they were confident in the spacecraft's ability to return them home from the International Space Station whenever the company and NASA fix an array of thruster issues on Wednesday. During the test crew's first news conference, NASA astronaut Sunita Williams said that this spacecraft will bring us home. A series of issues with Starliner's propulsion system have extended the mission infidelity indefinitely. 5 of Starliner's 28 maneuvering thrusters went dead during his 24-hour trek to the station, along with the failure of a propellant valve and 5 leaks of helium. Meanwhile, NASA and Boeing officials have emphasized that the 2 astronauts are not stranded in space. Veteran NASA astronauts Sunita Williams and Barry Butch Wilmore were launched aboard Starliner from Florida on the 5th of June.
I feel confident that if we had to, if there was a problem with the International Space Station, we can get in our spacecraft and we can undock, talk to our team, and figure out the best way to come home. Yeah, like I said, we've practiced a lot, so I have a feeling, I have a real good feeling in my heart that the spacecraft will bring us home, no problem.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Estonia's Jan Roos has made history as the first person to cross at least Strait of Messina on foot. Roos completed a breathtaking 3.6-kilometer journey along a slack line in nearly 3 hours on Wednesday. Roos started from a 265-meter high tower on Santa Trada before going on to walk a distance surpassing the previous world record of 2,710 meters. A towering Stegosaurus dinosaur fossil will go under the hammer at Sotheby's in New York on Wednesday. The auction represents a significant milestone as it marks the first time an auction house has been involved in bringing a dinosaur specimen to market right from its discovery. In a stunning encounter in the Atlantic Ocean on Sunday, a rower got up close with a large pod of whales. Tom Waddington, a UK-based ski coach, while rowing solo more than 100 nautical miles off the Newfoundland coast. The images show the whales swimming around the boat, reportedly rocking it as they passed.
Wow, that's so cool. 2 hours in now, rowing with these thousands of whales. I'm gonna hit the boat. I can't believe it. It's an amazing sight, but also so scary.
And today we mark a significant day on the global calendar, World Population Day. This day, observed every year on July 11th, draws attention to the urgency and importance of population issues. As the world crosses the 8 billion people mark, let us take a look at this report by my colleague Dibyendhu Mondal to understand the challenges and opportunities of population growth. Take a look.
July 11th marks the United Nations World Population Day, a global observance aimed at raising awareness about population issues and their impact on development. Established by the United Nations in 1989, this day serves as a reminder of the challenges and opportunities posed by a growing world population. To mark the occasion, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said, and I quote, "As the theme of this year's World Population Day reminds us, investing in data collection is important to understand problems, tailoring solutions and driving progress. So is finance. I urge countries to make the most of the Summit of the Future this year and unleash affordable capital for sustainable development." The world population has been witnessing unprecedented growth. From 1 billion in the early 1800s, we are now at 8 billion. And by 2030, the world population is projected to reach 8.5 billion. Historically, it took centuries to reach the billion mark. But since 2011, the world population added 1 billion population in less than 1.5 decades. Changes in the fertility rates have played a crucial role. Life expectancy has also risen dramatically. This rapid growth brings both opportunities and challenges. On one hand, a large population can drive economic growth, innovation, and cultural exchange. On the other hand, it places significant pressure on resources, infrastructure, and the environment. Urbanization and migration are reshaping our world. In 2007, for the first time, more people lived in cities than rural areas, and by 2050, cities are expected to host 66% of the global population. These mega trends have far-reaching implications. World Population Day is not just about numbers, it is about the lives behind those numbers. Dibyendhu Mondal's report for DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. Taiwan reports surge in Chinese Air Force activity, detects 66 Chinese military aircraft. Gaza ceasefire talks continued in Doha on Tuesday.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kurana, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi concludes his two-nation tour, arrives in New Delhi. PM terms the visit an opportunity to take time-tested friendship to the next level. US President Joe Biden continues to face fresh doubts over his re-election chances. Nancy Pelosi, George Clooney and two Senate Democrats joined the ever-stretching list, asking Biden to withdraw. Ukraine conflict continues to dominate NATO summit. Nations issue joint declaration in Washington outlining commitment to military alliance and long-term support for Ukraine. And in Euro 2024, English team's dream run continues. Substitute Ollie Watkins, late winner, downs Dutch in semis to set up final clash against Spain. Fans head to Berlin for the grand finale on Sunday. And moving on, a Japanese Navy destroyer made a rare entry into China's territorial waters near Taiwan early this month without notifying China and sparkling serious concerns from Beijing. Japan Maritime Self-Defense Forces destroyer Suzutsuki sailed into China's waters off Zhejiang province on July 4th, where China had announced it would conduct naval drills, Kyodo News Agency said, citing diplomatic sources. China's Coast Guard and naval vessels have entered Japan's territorial waters, including June last year when Tokyo lodged a protest against Beijing after the Chinese Navy sailed into Japanese waters near Yakushima Island. In December, the Chinese military said a U.S. Navy ship illegally entered waters adjacent to a disputed South China Sea atoll that has recently been several maritime confrontations with neighbors, including the Philippines. And for more, we have Chris Gilbert joining us. Well, Chris, after Japan's Navy destroyer entered China's territorial waters last week, it maintains that it was not illegal, citing the right to innocent passage. How do you see that as China keeps on sending its military and Coast Guard vessels also into Japanese territorial waters?
Well, first of all, the two incidents are separate because the Japanese destroyer entered waters that were undoubtedly Chinese. It went within 22 kilometers of the coast, whereas the ongoing dispute about the Diaoyu Islands, as it's referred to in China, or the Senkaku Islands, as it's referred to in Japan, that is an ongoing sticking point at a historical territorial dispute between the two countries, which some political scientists have told me is politically convenient for both countries to keep that dispute alive, to have leverage over each other. But in the case of this destroyer, China had set up a no-sail zone in that area the day before. This destroyer has been monitoring military drills by the Chinese Coast Guard. It has been monitoring aircraft carriers in particular. But during these exercises, it's never come this close to the coast of China before. And now Japan is trying to ascertain or investigate what exactly happened and the captain's decisions. Beijing has expressed its strong concern about the incident to Tokyo. They believe it was an intentional provocation. The Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force has effectively said whoops, calling it a procedural error, but that's not really flying with Beijing. They say that this hasn't happened before. It's a very well-known, communication line between the two coast guards about these, very well established when these maritime drills are happening and when the no-sail rules are in effect. And effectively, they say that the captain and the crew of this destroyer was too skilled to make this kind of mistake. So a lot is pending on the results of this Defense Ministry investigation into exactly what happened.
But why do you think, Chris, that Japan made such a provocative move amid efforts by both the countries to stabilize relations, as Sino-Japanese relations have deteriorated over a host of issues?
Yeah, it's interesting, and a number of experts on both sides of the fence have said that Japan really better not do anything further from here to stoke tensions. There have been new lines of communication opened over the past 6 months to a year as both countries slowly open up and resume diplomatic talks following on from the pandemic. You mentioned the UN Charter on the Sea before and the right of innocent passage. The SDF, Japan Self-Defense Force, has said effectively that they allow foreign militaries and navies to sail through their waters under the use of innocent passage, and so they effectively thought they could do the same thing in this case. China is saying there is a domestic law in place that you have to get permission before sailing through the waters, through its waters. And so really who is right and who is wrong in this case, it doesn't really matter as much as the overarching picture is you painted, which is that there is ongoing repairs being made in diplomatic talks, and a lot of questions are being raised about why the Self-Defense Force was provocative, if it was provocative, and what exactly happened.
All right, Chris, diplomatic talks going slow there. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us all that update. And moving on, Taiwan claimed to have detected 66 Chinese military aircraft operating around the island in past 24 hours. Early on Wednesday, Taiwan Defense Ministry said that it had detected 36 Chinese military aircraft flying to the south and southeast of the island, heading to the Western Pacific to carry out drills with the Chinese aircraft carrier, the Shandong. This latest incident adds to a series of similar provocations by China in recent months. All right, amid the rising tensions between Beijing and Manila over territorial disputes in the South China Sea, Chinese aircraft carrier the Shandong passed close to the northern Philippines on its way to drills in the Pacific, as Taipei reported dozens of warplanes joining the ship for exercises. The maneuvering of the carrier through waters closer to the Philippines than to Taiwan comes during a period of dispute. And pressures growing non-stop on U.S. President Joe Biden to end his re-election bid. Latest to join the ever-growing list are party heavyweights Nancy Pelosi and George Clooney and 2 senators. All of this are the after effects of halting debate performance against Republican rival Donald Trump. Take a look.
U.S. President Joe Biden has been busy meeting NATO leaders and rallying them around to announce continued support for Ukraine. But support within his Democratic Party seems to be waning as he faces relentless pressure to withdraw from the presidential race. There are still some lawmakers who have steadfastly backed the incumbent's plan, but many have expressed unease with his continued candidacy. In her latest comments, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said Biden must decide quickly whether to stay in the 2024 White House race.
I know how to do this job.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has privately signaled to donors that he is open to a Democratic candidate other than Biden. Senator from Vermont, Peter Welch, called on President Biden to withdraw from the race in an opinion piece in a newspaper. He is the first Democratic senator to call on Biden to step aside as a candidate. The list seems to be getting longer. Representative Pat Ryan, who flipped a Republican-held New York district in 2019, said Biden is a patriot but no longer the best candidate to defeat Trump.
They can't decide which of their candidates is more unfit to be president. Who likes Sleepy Joe the best?
That's not all. Hollywood star George Clooney also withdrew his support with an opinion piece in the New York Times, saying Biden was not the same man he was in 2020. He co-hosted a star-studded fundraiser for Biden last month. For nearly 2 weeks, Joe Biden has sought to stem dissidents by Democratic lawmakers, donors and other allies worried that he might lose the November 5th vote. he vowed to stay in the race.
I'm the most qualified person to beat him.
Joe has made it clear that he's all in.
He had a bad night. We've talked about it. He understands people's concerns.
The president is extremely effective.
Some Senate Democrats are expected to express their reservations in a meeting with Biden on Thursday. Bureau Report, DD India.
Meanwhile, Biden returned to the campaign trail on Wednesday, rallying the key constituency of Labour leaders. Biden spoke to supporters from the AFL-CIO's Executive Council meeting. Labour votes were key to Biden's win over Trump in competitive states, including Michigan, Pennsylvania and Nevada in 2020. Well, Gaza ceasefire talks continued in Doha on Tuesday with Egyptian, US and Israeli officials in attendance. But Hamas warned this week that a fresh Israeli assault in Gaza could jeopardize the negotiations. DD India correspondent William Denslow reports for more from Baghdad.
Heading into these talks in Doha, there was an increased sense of optimism, largely after Hamas officials in recent days stated that they'd be willing to drop a previous key demand for them, that Israel accept a permanent ceasefire as part of these talks. We've also heard recently from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speaking to a US envoy, saying that Israel would be committed to securing a ceasefire if its red lines were accepted. Those include ensuring that no Hamas fighters in the south of the Gaza Strip make their way further north, also to do more to clamp down, as they see it, of the arms transfer through the Egyptian border crossing into the Palestinian enclave. Another key issue for Israel heading into these talks, Benjamin Netanyahu saying that Israel wants the ability to resume fighting in order to meet its goals set out. However, there is a sense of concern as well, especially after Israel began its fresh assault around Gaza City, with Hamas saying that renewed fighting in that area risked totally derailing these ceasefire negotiations and risked taking them back all the way to square one. Mass attack on Israel on October 7th. Since then, an estimated 38,000 Palestinians in Gaza have been killed, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. The international community says a ceasefire is imperative, and aid agencies warn that the humanitarian situation in the Palestinian enclave continues to deteriorate. William Denslow in Baghdad reporting for DD India.
Well, NATO member states issued joint declaration at summit in Washington, D.C., outlining commitment to military alliance and long-term support for Ukraine amid Russia's invasion. The communique also pledges to back Ukraine on its irreversible path to full Euro-Atlantic integration, including NATO membership. The leaders did not provide a specific timeline for Ukraine to join the defensive alliance. Instead, they said they would be in a position to extend an invitation to Ukraine to join the allies. The description of Ukraine's path comes after months of diplomatic negotiations in the lead-up to the Washington summit and was a point of contention among the allies. Prior to the release of the declaration, some diplomats had argued that it was not enough to just describe the path as irreversible, but that there must be strong support undergirding that description. And U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the first batch of U.S.-built F-16 fighter jets are already being transferred to Ukraine from Denmark and the Netherlands on Wednesday. On the sidelines of the NATO summit, Blinken said F-16 fighter jets will be flying over Ukrainian skies this summer. He added a robust package for Ukraine will be unveiled over the next couple of days that will build a clear and strong bridge for Ukraine's NATO membership. Meanwhile, Norway also said that it would also donate 6 F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine on Wednesday. F-16s have been on Ukraine's wish list for a long time, as it is equipped with a 20 mm cannon and can carry bombs, rockets and missiles. And South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida shared concerns over growing ties between Russia and North Korea on Thursday. Both the leaders said military and economic cooperation between Russia and North Korea is not only a security concern for East Asia, but also globally. Both the leaders met on the sidelines of the NATO summit and agreed to continue their security cooperation. Kishida said it is very significant for the leaders of Japan and South Korea to work closely together in light of the international situation while maintaining a solid relationship of trust and awareness about strategic issues. Yoon's office said Pyongyang and Moscow's growing ties underscore the significance of a trilateral summit. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Moody's keeps India's 2024 economic growth forecast unchanged at 6.8%. India beats Zimbabwe in the third T20 International League Series 2-1. And euphoric England fans celebrate reaching Euro final.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lepakshi Kuran and on to some business news now. The largest labor union at Samsung Electronics in South Korea has declared an indefinite strike after a 3-day walkout failed to yield any ground in a tense dispute between workers and the tech giant over pay and bonuses. The union said it had made the decision after management showed no intention of holding talks over its demands. The NSEU, which represents nearly a quarter of Samsung Electronic workers in South Korea, said its actions had disrupted production. Meanwhile, Samsung has disputed these claims. And for more, we have Laura Westbrook joining us from Hong Kong on this. Well, Laura, an indefinite strike has been declared after a 3-day walkout failed to yield any ground in a dispute between the workers and Samsung over pay and bonuses. Where do you see this all going right now?
Yes, this is the largest labour union action in Samsung's 55-year history. And how we got here was the union had scheduled a 3-day strike, which was supposed to end on Wednesday. And then it had scheduled a 5-day strike that was supposed to start on July 15th. But it said that it was now going to call an indefinite strike, saying that management wasn't coming to the negotiating table. And it is really trying to force management's hand to do so. And it says around 6,000 members had said that they would participate in this action. It's called for more members to join. And there are concerns that this could snowball into a bit of a snowball effect and really hurt the tech giant. And what they're demanding is they're trying to bring management to the negotiating table. They are hoping for a 5.6% basic pay increase, as well as a day off for the day of the founding day of the union, as well as to cover economic losses of the strike. They've actually come down from a 6.5% pay rise, but management's come back with a 5.1% increase. So they are hoping that they will get that extra 0.5% to cover inflation.
All right. Also, Laura, as you said, the production is definitely going to get disrupted, but Samsung has denied such claims. What is your take on it?
Yes, we are hearing conflicting reports here. The union has said that production has been disrupted on certain chip lines, but management has come out saying that there has been no disruption. They will ensure that there is no disruption to production, and they said that they will also bring on some more employees to cover any absent employees, and they said they are trying to continue their efforts to talk to the union. But this really isn't coming at a great time for Samsung, especially in the next few weeks. It's trying to convince NVIDIA to use its high bandwidth memory, and this is because it's trying to compete with the smaller rival SK Hynix, especially when it comes to the very important AI sector. So this is coming at quite a bad time for Samsung, but it just posted Samsung Electronics just posted a 15-fold increase in the last quarter ending in June compared to the quarter last year, and that was in operating profits. And so, and part of that is because of this quite big boom in the AI and chip sector. And so for the employees and the union members who are taking part in this strike, they're saying that they want to have a bit of slice of that action.
All right, 15-fold increase posted by Samsung there, as you said. Thank you so much, Laura, for that update from there. And rating agency Moody's has kept India's economic growth forecast for 2024 unchanged at 6.8%, while predicting a 6.5% growth for 2025. It said that increasing domestic and overseas demand supports GDP growth in emerging markets with wide radiation by country. In its Global Macro Outlook 2024-25 published in March, Moody's raised its forecast for India's GDP growth in 2024 from 6.1% to 6.8%, reflecting both global and domestic optimism in the country's economy on the back of robust manufacturing activity and infrastructure spending. And you're watching DD India News. Our time now for some sports news. In Euro 2024, last-minute strike from substitute Ollie Watkins sealed England a 2-1 victory over the Netherlands to set up the final clash with Spain in the Euro finals in Berlin on Sunday. Xavi Simons had put the Dutch ahead after just 7 minutes after entering the game, but England captain Harry Kane soon levelled the semi-final from the spot after going down under a Denzel Dumfries challenge. With the match heading for extra time, Watkins' topping time winner in the 91st minute sent England deservedly through to their second successive championship final. The team will now take on Spain, who secured a 2-1 win over France in the first semi-final on Tuesday night. And just as England and the Netherlands faced each other in the Euro semi-finals, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer watched the game with his Dutch counterpart Dick Schoof on the sidelines of the NATO summit on Wednesday. Starmer shared a video of the two leaders watching the game in Washington when England scored the equaliser via a penalty spot. And in cricket, Team India produced a clinical effort to beat Zimbabwe by 23 runs in the third T20 in Harare and take a 2-1 lead in the 5-match series. Skipper Shubman Gill top scored with 66 off 49 as the men in blue posted 182 for 4 in 20 overs. Ruturaj Gaikwad too played a crucial knock of 49 off 28 balls. For Zimbabwe's Sikandar Raza and Blessing Musrafabani scalped 2 wickets each. During Zimbabwe's chase, Washington Sundar returned figures of 3 for 15 in 4 overs to restrict the host to 159 for 6. The fourth T20 between India and Zimbabwe will be played on Saturday. And Lorenzo Musetti moved into his maiden Grand Slam semi-final by outlasting American 13th seed Taylor Fritz 33-6, 7-6, 6-2, 3-6, 6-1 at Wimbledon on Wednesday. After holding in a tight first game, Fritz seized the early break for a 3-1 lead when Musetti netted a backhand before the American consolidated the advantage in the next with a powerful forehand winner to set the tone for the first set. However, the 25th seeded Italians bid to join compatriot and world number 1 Jannik Sinha as a major champion this year faces a massive hurdle as he faces 7 times All-England club champion Novak Djokovic in the last 4. And England fans went through a roller coaster of emotions on Wednesday as their side reached Euros finals. Fans erupted at each goal with songs being shouted across Berlin centre, enjoying a memorable night in Dortmund. Well, euphoric fans there. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world in the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Purana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.